What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Jerry. Welcome back to the YouTube channel. Long time no see, man. It's good seeing you guys. I've been doing good. Hope you guys have been taking care of yourself. Staying safe, eating good. Trying to stay high in vibration and energy. You know what I'm saying? Um, I've been out in nature. You know what I'm saying? I'll post a quick little picture here or there. All right, we gotta go. We're not really talking about me. I've been good. You guys see me, I'm doing good. Had a little bit of a health hiccup with my eye. I even missed time off work, but it's all situated. I have iritis. Got it from my dad. It's a genetic thing, but that's besides the point. We're gonna be talking about something a little bit more serious today, because I've been trying to do research on this subject, but I didn't want to come to this channel with misinformation, if you would, right? And I have to be very careful on how I speak about this topic in this video, because I don't want this video to get taken down, nor I don't want it to get suppressed to a point where you guys can't see it. So we're gonna operate this very quickly and just, safely, all right? So as you guys know, there has been epidemic that has been overtaken the earth, super scary. And there's a fluid that, is suggested that you take to help fight against it. We're just gonna call it fluid during my reaction part of this whole video. So this video is gonna be kind of cut into two sections. Obviously this intro part, the clip that I'm gonna be reacting to or reviewing, and then at the end is where I'm gonna say my two-piece after, just to get my point across, you know what I mean? And how to kind of correlate it with what I've been talking about, and just kind of tie it all together, right? Because this guy I've been watching for a while, his name is Net's Most Wanted. I'm gonna drop him in the description. Also, before I play the clip, I'll give the shout out to the person speaking and Net's Most Wanted, because that's where I got the information from. And this is, again, just the spread of information. That's what this channel is made for. It's my own personal blog to speak my mind, right? If I have something in here that I know could help other people, I'm all about helping people. I've talked to people, I've helped mentor people, stuff like that. I'm all about helping people, so I think this is just good information to get out there. This video is going to be about parasites and this fluid, the fluid. And, this guy kind of goes into a lot of different stuff about how parasites have been, out in the earth. And it doesn't even matter if you're eat meat or vegan or whatever, right? Parasites are touch, contact, shaking hands. Literally, I know this not off of this video, but just in general, even if you're walking barefoot outside out in nature, you can actually get worms and stuff in your feet, right? So parasites are something that, they can control hosts. They could go in all different types of parts of your body, right? And they could do really crazy stuff. And this guy who, has worked at schools and has very high up knowledge on frequencies, parasites, just human health in general and wellness. He's a very educated gentleman. And yeah, like I said, we're just gonna react to this video, and I'm just gonna spit just whatever's on my head and get it out. And hopefully I do it in a way that you guys can understand it, all right? So I'll see you guys after it's all done.
All right, let's get started. Doctah B Sirius. Last time we was talking, we said we would do a part 2, and you were gonna go in depth on this whole parasite thing. Now, we're a complex organism. We're a complex being. We're more than just this one individual, as it seems to be. And it seems that our behaviors are oftentimes influenced by organism, entities, whatever you want to call it, inside of us. So you were having a discussion with me earlier on the phone about this parasite that we all need to be aware of. The military's aware of it. The governments are aware of it. And that we have no idea what's going on inside of us and what it's doing, wrecking havoc on us. So I'm gonna pass the floor to you, brother. I hope I let the people know, gave them time to get comfortable. We got almost 1,000 people, so that's enough for y'all. Dr. B Sirius, what's going on with this parasite thing you keep telling me about when I talk to you?
Well, I'd like first to set the scene with a little background.
Yes.
My study, since the early 1990s was basically herbs, nutrition.
Mhm.
And in 1996, I had a experience, and I had what they call missing time.
Mm.
And since that experience, I had information in my head that I had not studied.
Mm.
Numbers, angles, equations, and things like that. And basically, I had a breakdown.
Mhm.
And I couldn't do anything. This just took over my life. I was writing numbers on my hands, and
Wow.
it was, I literally had a breakdown.
Mm.
And it wasn't until I met a man named Dr. Kweku Ando. This was in 1996.
Mhm.
Dr. Kweku Ando came to Los Angeles, and somebody let me know he was there, and I just was able to take whatever energy I had, because I couldn't eat, I couldn't think, I couldn't do anything. I couldn't see people, I couldn't hear sounds. Everything was affecting me to the point where I thought I had a nervous breakdown. I was gone. This was it,
Yeah.
They got me, one of those things.
Yeah.
But I went to go see Dr. Kweku Ando's lecture, and I figured he's one of the top botanists in the world. He's the man who brought moringa. Moringa. He brought moringa because
Yes.
he was a Dogon priest,
Mhm.
a scientist on many levels. He even worked for Jimmy Carter, and different powerful people all over the world. And he had this information, from an African standpoint. So I went to go to the lecture, man, and I'm sitting there and I'm sweating and I'm still going through the heebie-jeebies because I'm basically in and out. And he starts showing a slide presentation. I think it's called The Prophecy on the Wall of San Francisco. And on this wall, it is like a projection, kind of like there are drawings on this wall that's like 2 stories high, 2 miles long, about the history of life on the planet Earth.
It's still there to this day?
No, it disappeared. And I'm looking at this, and he's talking about these symbols, and they're breaking it down. And until just the other day, by the way, this is in 1996, I thought that Dr. Kweku Ando had taken these pictures.
Mm-hmm.
After your show, his wife, Sister Kali, calls me. And she says, Dr. B, I'm so glad to see you're still doing what you're doing, blah, 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 blah. She said, you were talking from the standpoint of the prophecy on the wall on the show. Okay? Because all of us that saw this, it changed us. Anybody that saw these symbols, it changed. Now, remember, I'm coming out of having an experience that is life-changing to seeing these symbols in this pictograph on this wall, I think it's like 2 miles long. Sister Kali calls me, and I'm talking to her, and she says, I said, who took the pictures? She says, I took those pictures. And I'm still doing the work, and we're still studying on this, this subject with scientists all over the world. And I'm like, wow. And I hadn't talked to her in a very long time. But anyway, once I saw a couple symbols and a couple numbers on the wall, it took me out. Because I had been writing these numbers, these sequences on my hands and everywhere, all over. I just kept writing these numbers, these, sets of 3 numbers. And they were on the wall. And it blew my mind. It took me, I like zapped out again. So I'm shaking, I'm shuddering. I feel like I'm going to throw up. I can't sit in my seat. And I get up to run out of the building. And Dr. Ando stops what he's doing and says, Dr. B, don't leave here without talking to me. This is a world-renowned scientist. How does he know me?
Right.
And I meet him. And it's a whole story I'll tell at another time. But he basically says, listen, you were taken through a vortex to receive the information about the parasitic beings that were on the earth at this time controlling human nature. And he said, a lot of these, what you might call aliens, are parasites. I mean, why do they need you? Anything that needs you to survive is a parasite. anyway, out of that, he started talking about these mind control parasites, certain ones, and there's many of them. These mind control parasites and what they do to people. And he says, you're the only one that can create this formula because it's based on music, it's based on sound, rhythm, colors, and all of your studies that you have done. You have what it takes, and you are the man that could help this situation that's plaguing humanity. So I digress and move on to this. In many of the ancient writings, they talk about how somewhere around 6,000 years ago, when the earth is leaning, it's at its furthest point away from the center of the galaxy, the galactic center. As I was mentioning before, and I think last week I mentioned that at that time, it's almost like it's called the fall of man. We're not receiving as much information from the center of the galaxy as we are, when we're closer to this galactic source. We're leaning away from it. So man falls, or people fall. They're not getting the direct signal from the radio station. Around this time, 6,000 years ago, something fell from the sky everywhere. They were not beings, but things. Some call them ships. Some they're in pictures. You know what I'm saying? They're on walls and things where these things popped up. Call them UFOs, some said they were asteroids, some said they were weird clouds all over the planet. And after that time, the people changed. Something shifted in them. It began to fracture people. Tribes began to fight from within. And there was, people who were normally peaceful begin to have issues with each other. This was the Great Divide. And at this particular time, someone began to domesticate cats. See, cats, there's the natural cats like the lions, the tigers, the leopards. They're not going to live in your house. Someone domesticated cats. There is a parasite that only mates in the gut of domesticated cats. That is called toxoplasma. Now, it's interesting that it has plasma on the end of it. That's real interesting because you mean to tell me this thing is a plasma? It's a toxic plasma, but it's a being because there's plasma beings. There's all kinds of beings that live in different states, This thing ends up in cats' poop. It sends out a wave of information that attracts mice and rats. When the cat's away, the mice will play. That's an old thing. When the mice and the rats eat it, they begin to love the smell of cat urine. They begin to love the things that naturally the mouse or the rat would be afraid of. It would be protecting itself from these things because this means danger. This is your demise. When these mice and rats see a cat, they don't run. They just stand there. They freeze. When you're in fear mode, you know what I'm saying? There's a couple things that happen. You got, fight or flight. But then there's another one called freeze. Where you don't do anything. They freeze. And even as the cat walks up to eat them, they're just frozen. So something has been rewired in the natural instincts of this rat or mouse. When this thing gets, let's say now the rat has it, right? So the mouse has it. Rats and mice are everywhere. When this thing moved to the next level, it moved into animals because animals like a bird or whatever, different animals and, other beings would begin to ingest in sometimes non-conscious ways this parasite. It lives in the amygdala, which is these two lobes in the brain, which are responsible for your fear response. It has a lot to do with emotion. It's connected to what they call the limbic system. And your limbic system is listening to the environment to see what could hurt us, which is connected to the sympathetic nervous system, which is connected to the parasympathetic nervous system, which is connected to your gut, which is connected to your brain, which is connected to the vagus nerve, which is connected to the cosmos.
Hey, sorry, I didn't want to interrupt the video, but I just wanted to throw this in as well because it's just very interesting how I find that a lot of people that were very hesitant to get the fluid, it seems like some of them overnight switched like, oh, yeah, I have to go get it now. I'm like, didn't you say you're never going to get it? And they're like, oh, I got to do it. I'm like, what do you mean you got to do it? You guys have family that's like that? I don't know. I thought that was interesting. I didn't want to cut them off because this is still going to go on for like another like 30, 40 minutes. But I find that very interesting how that just randomly happened to people. You notice how we said it went up the food chain because people ingested it or beings ingested it by accident or whatever. You could say the same with like cows or, anything that you eat, fish day to day. Somehow that chemical, they already said that, plastic is in people's brains. So you're telling me plastic, which is way smaller than a regular parasite, is in my brain, but parasites aren't completely in my body all over the place? I don't know. Just food for thought for you guys.
It disconnects you from the cosmos. This particular parasite puts out frequencies. It sends out a wave, pulse code modulation, vibrations on all frequencies throughout your system. When it gets in animals or people, they're no longer afraid of the thing that can hurt them. They no longer desire to get away from the oppressor. They may be angry and mad and march on bridges and say what's wrong and tell their friends and be mad, but in no way are they going to come together to do something to break out of their condition. So a lot of things that that we do. Let me go here first before we even hit that. Years ago, I went to the feedlots. Somebody brought me into the feedlots where they have the cows and the chickens and the pigs. And these places, first of all, are highly guarded. I couldn't believe, man, they got armed guards, 30-foot walls with razor wire, electric fences, so you can't see what's going on the inside. I mean, what is the problem? It's just, it's a farm, right? It's just cows, you know what I'm saying? Happy cows, chickens, having fun. No. If the people saw this, they wouldn't eat. They wouldn't eat the stuff that those people are creating. This is a challenging subject to talk about. So I'm going to attempt to take my time with this because it's an emotional thing to know about this and to carry this information and be able to explain it in English. So I'm taking my time with this.
Take time, Doc.
When I went in the feedlot, this one happened to have cows.
Mm-hmm.
The floor was covered in waste. I mean, we had boots on, hip-high boots. This is crazy, man. Things are crawling. This is crazy. This is not some clean place. Animals had hoof rot. They had infected udder syndrome, where there's blood coming out of their udders. I'm like, what the heck? And guess what was there? Lots of rats, mice, and cats. So I asked the guy who was guiding me, I says, what's with the cats and the mice? Can't they keep them out of here? He says, no, the cats and the mice seem to help to keep the animals in captivity. I said, what do you mean? He says, well, there's a weird thing that happens. I can't really get into that. He never gets into it. Well, the animals are eating off the ground a lot of times, you know what I'm saying, or eating, whatever they're feeding them has been contaminated. It's got waste material in it. There's cats and mice everywhere. A little while after that, I'm in shock after I see what's going on at these feedlots. I'm talking to another scientist in Los Angeles, and he was with another guy. I used to hang with these scientists, right? This one guy, he worked at JPL, Jet Propulsion's lab. He would always bring me this information about what was happening with satellites and space. And the other one was always talking about things that was happening in the biological world. And I asked him one day, I says, man, what happens with the cows, chickens, and pigs when they don't run away? He says, well, they got a parasite. And this parasite affects them where they become domesticated. It's like a dome over them. A domesticated thing has a dome over it, a domicile. They can't and won't run away because the parasite has rewired their brain so that they're very subservient to whatever program that the parasite is giving them. This parasite has gotten into the food supply and people. They're saying anywhere, now they used to say before, 2-3 years ago, it was 50% of the people probably had toxoplasma. And now they're saying the numbers are much higher because of the, when you have more fear, the more fear you have, the more emotional breakdowns and trauma. And then you have complex trauma, you have PTSD and complex PTSD. You have complex, there's so many things layered that actually feeds the parasite. So I'm saying, what do you mean it feeds the parasite? I'm asking the scientist. He says, well, they seem to thrive when the animal is suffering, when the animal is confused, when the animal or the being is going through, in humans, what they call a type of schizophrenia. They thrive. This toxoplasma, and I know some of you probably are looking it up. Please look it up. Do your own research. Controls the mindset of people all over the world. And they're saying that this has been so for about 6,000 years, and people won't come together because the parasite is so powerful that it keeps people from people that could help you, people that could work together. It makes you afraid of them. You're afraid of things that you shouldn't be afraid of, right? And things that you should be moving towards and have courage, towards certain activities in certain ways. You're not. It twists your emotions. So at this particular point, you're in a prison in your own mind. You become the jailer. You become the judge. You become the jury, huh? You got the key, but you can't even find the key because something's in your head. What's that song they used to say? Don't let it go to your head. Don't let it go to your head. This thing is in the heads of people. People who have it. And I began, when I really started studying medicine, natural medicine in another kind of way, I realized, personality, how people walk, how they talk. You could see it. You can see toxoplasma in the way the person is acting because it manipulates the emotions. It manipulates the people, the way they act. Certain parasites control our society. There's a really good book.
Hold up. Let me.
You got to flip that or something?
No, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
This is your brain on parasites. I'm trying to figure it out. Yeah, there we go. This is your brain on parasites. How tiny creatures manipulate our behavior and shape our society. By Kathleen, I'm going to say the name, McAuliffe. This is your brain on parasites. A really good book. And in the book, she's talking to interviewing people who are psychoparasitologists. Brand new section of science, psychoparasitologist. Psycho is mind, you're thinking. These are people who study the parasites that control people's minds. Not only toxoplasma, there are several of them. So, what is a parasite? A parasite is a being, a creature that lives in or on another creature and uses that creature for food, for travel as a vehicle to get from one place to the other, or just uses its energy. Para means beside. Parasite means life beside. It lives in parallel with the being that it lives in. It's like a walk-in, a creature that has moved in, that's living with you. And you think it's you because you've been acting a certain way and living a certain way most of your life. But what you don't know is that you've merged and emerged and evolved with this thing that's controlling behavior, and with probably controlling the behavior of your parents, and your parents' parents. Psychoparasitology, look it up. See, the old scientists never wanted to admit that these little teeny creatures, because some of them are tiny, but some of them are long, very big, that these creatures, because, you know, man has an ego. I didn't say woman, I'm talking about man. You know, I'm going to stay safe. I'm going to stay right here.
Mm-hmm.
They think they know. Like the scientist told me herbs don't work. And then I asked him, what's in a leaf? And he says, well, you know, we don't really know what's in a leaf. I said, what's in olive leaf? What's in, I named a bunch of things. He says, well, I'm not sure. I said, what do you mean? What do you mean you don't, the herbs don't work, right? I got to show you something. I got to grab something here. I said, what do you mean herbs don't work? I said, do you know for sure? He says, yeah, I know for sure herbs don't work. He says, because if they did, we would have studied them in school. I said, really? I said, you didn't study parasites? He says, no, not at all. I said, well, I was doing a lecture one time at this place called The Good Life in LA, where I used to do lectures. In fact, there's a couple people online who I know used to be at The Good Life, so welcome back. I'm doing a lecture one day, and a nurse walks up, and she hands me this book. Hope you can see it. Medical Parasitology. This is a book that the nurse studied about parasites. They got pictures in here. They talk about how they live and the diseases that they cause and the symptoms. The doctor still proclaims herbs don't work. Okay, that's a good book, but herbs don't work. I said, well, what do you use when you choose drugs? How do you choose them? He says, well, we use a PDR. What's that stand for? And the doctor says, well, it's the physician's desk reference, of course. I said, so they only study drugs? He said, that's right. What is this?
PDR for herbal medicines.
This is a physician desk reference for herbal medicine. Somebody lying here. Somebody is blowing some smoke.
Woo! Give it to them, Doc.
Up your arse.
Give it to them, Doc. Come on, Doc.
This book, and when I was looking it up, when I got the book, because a doctor, doctors used to slip into the lectures and leave a package and just kind of wink and walk out.
Yeah.
Some folks be trying to redeem themselves. They know this thing is over, so they want to at least I did one good thing. I got this thing. I got in my car, man. I'm on Crenshaw Boulevard. It's 12 o'clock at night. I got my flashlight out, and I look in the book, and I said, this is all about herbs. First one I looked up was marijuana, of course. You know what I'm saying? I looked this up, and they break down marijuana or cannabis, sativa or whichever one it is, on a whole nother level. They break Delta 9 down. Delta 9 is the ingredient or one of the things. Well, I'm trying to go simple here. Delta 9 is what gives you the high feeling. Delta is the symbol, which is a little pyramid or a little triangle. 9 ether, the 9 vibration, the 9 number, which is not really a number at all, because it's a very strange number because it has all numbers in it. And anything you multiply times 9 comes up as 9.
There's 9.
Okay. And whenever you add something to 9, it shows you the number you added to it. It's not a normal number. It's a very special thing. So Delta 9 has got to do with some cosmic events on you're ready to go to the next level. In this book, they talk about all the wonderful effects and uses of cannabis that they've studied. They talk about almost all the herbs that it's so many herbs in here. This is the physician's desk reference. And guess where you buy it? You buy it from the place where you buy all of the desk references. All the doctors have it at their disposal if they desire. They're just not doing it. Why? Because they work basically based on what the drug companies tell them to do. I deal with a lot of doctors. I have a lot of clients who are doctors. A lot of them. And they always slip a little information in on me and let me know. I wish I could talk about this. I wish I could give this to my clients, but I'm handcuffed because they got to make that money. You know what I'm saying? And and I'm not saying that, I don't want to make it look like it's a conspiracy. This is not a conspiracy. It's nothing evil about it. Drugs have their place in emergencies. They do. Medicine has its place. Modern medicine has its place in emergencies. Now, when it comes to maintenance and things like that, this is when we might look more towards nutrition, but only now are they beginning to offer more and more courses on nutrition, even with your medical doctor. So don't be mad with your medical doctor when he says something, because the medical doctor is handcuffed to a system that is basically paying his bills, taking care of everything in his life, and he's got to live in that system. See, when you stay with a circle of people, let's say you got a group that you hang out with. These are your friends. This is your crew. You understand what I'm saying? This is your circle, but sometimes your circle is your prison, because you got to stay with the prison because the prison is telling you how to act. These people are telling you how you have to be in the circle, and you want to be friends. It was like my son. He throws the ball, right? And he's on the team, right? He's the best one on the team. He can play ball better than everybody on the team. I go to see him play. He's missing every shot. I'm like, what, bro? What's wrong? He says, man, if I prove who I am and if I act really, really good and excellent, I won't have friends. My friends, they can't play, but they're cool people. So you will lose. We got to lose this game. I got to be friends with them. I won't have anybody. So sometimes if you stand out and stand up and you begin to rise and elevate, right, and activate, and you begin to move to those higher levels, you lose friends. So there's this tribalism thing. People want to stay with the group. So the doctors have to stay with a group. They have groups in, your medical group. And that's my medical group. You know what I'm saying? So don't be angry with them. Look at this as a thing where you need to do your own research and learn about your body and not just listen to them. I in no way like to create these waves of energy where it just turns out to be anger and we can't do anything. We're just mad. The doctor did this. The doctor asked you, you signed the papers. Your doctor can study whatever they'd like to study, whatever the elective is. There are some doctors or biological people who work in biology who study parasites. The old doctors and scientists never wanted to admit that these little creatures could control society. Do you know why? And this is deep. I always wanted to know why certain cities, certain people have a certain accent. So like you from New York, right? You could tell you from New York. It's a New York thing. I said, why when I cross the line from Connecticut or Jersey into New York, it's different? What happens? How does everybody agree, sign some papers to have a certain accent, right? It has to do with the food. It has to do with the vibration in the earth. And it has to do with the environment. My question is why when we get south of the Mason-Dixon line, do the people have a Southern accent? Some people call it a Southern drawl. This baffled me until a scientist breaks down that there was a time when the mosquitoes were so bad in the South that almost everybody got malaria. Some people didn't die from malaria, but it affected their frontal lobe in their speech centers. So they had to talk really slow. And when they had children, the children mimic the parents. And this becomes the way people spoke in the South of the United States.
What time period is this?
I think this was in the 1800s.
Wow.
1800s, early 1900s, because they also at the same time, and don't quote me on that, but at the same time period, they learned how to spray for mosquitoes. And they sprayed these chemicals everywhere, which further affected the mind of people. It's still in the soil. Whatever they used, because they weren't spraying herbs. They were spraying chemicals. It was serious. So this is one of the places where you could see where parasites might have to do with society. Do you know why parents want you to use your right hand back in the day? It was all they would make the child right-handed. The child's born left-handed, it would be a whole problem. I remember my brother, it was a whole thing because he's left-handed. It's not good to be left-handed. How are you going to shake people's hands? How are you going to learn how to write? It was a problem. In this book, Your Brain on Parasites, they get into that. How when people went to nations or cultures that were Muslim, the Muslim people wiped themselves after using, the restroom with their left hand. So they didn't eat with their left hand or shake with their left hand. So when the Caucasians came, their thing was to mimic this activity because they were like, oh my God, so there must be something wrong with, it must be germs. You see, there must be something bad about that left hand. But it was the fear of disease, the fear of a virus, a plague, parasites, or biological entities that could take people out. Religions, many times they came about because somebody from another land came into the city or came into the village, and all of a sudden people got sick, and they tied it to there's a sickness. Those people who look like that with hair like that are sick. They're dirty. So we're going to create a nation, a state, even in politics. These parasites, either, I'm going to get to why a little deeper, they either control the movement of the way people act and interact, or the fear of disease causes people to all live a certain way. This is why in a lot of places it was about keeping everything in the family. I mean, it was cousins and brothers and sisters with each other because you didn't want to mix with those people because those people are dirty. You see, these people are xenophites. They're afraid of anything that doesn't look like them. Xenophobia is huge. He looks a little different. You know what I'm saying? His hair is just too woolly. Well, guess what? We don't like him. Why? Because you're afraid. And it looks like anger to you, but it's fear because you don't understand. So this thing about germs, right? Check this out. The Germans back in the day had some of the best scientists. Early 1900s. They began to study these things we call parasites, germs, and diseases. They call them verms. Verms with a V was also worm or wormin or wormer. They call them worms, verms. A lot of the pictures that you see online, you go online and start looking at these bugs, is German, especially if they're old pictures. We went to war with Germany, which is a whole other special story. So we, in a derogatory way, began to call those little entities germs. Because we said the Germans are nasty. Get it? They call them vermin, right? We go to war with Germany. And then to make this, to really step and throw some shade on them, we call these things germs. Mm. Is that crazy, man?
Wow, deep. Yeah.
The connections.
Yeah.
Everything is connected. So the old scientists, they never truly wanted to admit that these little beings could be controlling beings and controlling the minds and the mindsets. Because the ego is huge. We know what we're talking about. We've studied everything. They haven't. They don't know anything for a fact. It's all based on theories and theorems and ideas and beliefs. And sometimes it's based on some BS. And we come along talking about it's scientifically proven. You know, if it happens 3 times, it's scientifically proven. Bro, what the heck is scientifically proven? Let me tell you something. The around 19, I can't remember, maybe 1996, 7, 8, I was asked to teach at UCLA, which blew my mind. Because how could I teach at UCLA when I only went to college for 2.5 weeks? I went to school for electronics at first. And I quit in 2.5 weeks. I graduated. I didn't need to go no further. I saw them symbols on the wall and I said, uh-oh, I'm done. And I left. That's when I met George Clinton, hung out with him. You know what I'm saying? Y'all was on the bus. You know what I'm saying? This was it, man. We love you, Dr. Funkenstein. Your funk is the best. Woo! Yeah, it was deep, man. So I'm called to teach at UCLA. I keep getting this phone call, and they're saying, you know, we'd like you to come teach and teach a course and blah, 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 blah. So I thought it was a joke. They can't be calling me. They got the wrong number. So finally I answer the phone, and the sister answers, and she says, look, we've been studying your work, you know, your work around music and health and rhythm and sound, and we'd like you to teach a course. I said, but I don't have a degree. She says, you have the biggest degree there is. It's called experience. If you come, we will give you a degree. I said, what do you mean? Well, you know, you can go to this course and we'll give you a degree. I said, well, how long is the course? She says, 12 days. I said, I'll get a degree. She says, yeah, you know, the people's names that's on the school, they didn't go to school. You know, the people's names that's on the college didn't go to college.
Crazy.
The people that's teaching you didn't get taught. They came up with an idea and talked loud, had a big hairdo with license stuff in it. That's another story. And then all of a sudden, their name is on the school. The school is named after such and such. And you assume, because this is what we do is assume a lot, that this is a prestigious school. Anyway, I asked them, could I teach natural health? And they said no. Because of the UCLA Medical Center, we can't step on their toes. We'd like you to teach a course about music and how music affects people and how sound and frequency, you know, is a big piece of the world. And we want you to teach, you know, people about music production, management, mixing, engineering, mastering, all of those things. I was really, proficient. I can make up words too. They made up all the words we're using. So efficient. I was really good at, you know, doing those things. So I decided to take the course when I found out I could get discounts. I said, I can get discounts? Yeah, as an instructor, you can get discounts. They gave me a teaching certificate. And I said, well, in order for me to teach health, in order for me to teach music, I'm going to have to teach health. They said, but we won't say that in your class description. We won't mention that. You just do that kind of undercover. But what was interesting, a lot of professors were coming to my class because I was wild in the class. Man, I got jokes going, you know what I'm saying? I'm drawing pictures because, you know, I like to teach through, you know, some laughter and fun and make it entertaining. The best way to teach is through entertainment. That's why your music is basically entertainment. It's teaching you, even at a subconscious level, because music is one of the few things that goes deep between the conscious and the subconscious. You can teach and program things through music and vibration quicker than anything else. So I did this course for 4 years. But while I was there, I was able to go into the biomedical labs because they thought I was Doctor B. Actually, it's Doctah. I wasn't a doctor. They just assumed, you know what I'm saying? And then, come on in. We heard about your course. We heard that you're really funny and you're really comical. You know, we like the way you talk about blah, 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 blah. So they let me in. Yeah. So I saw a lot of things. And I'm going to give you this one piece, and I'm going to go back. This is a little offshoot. They had this huge microscope. You know, the microscope that we use that can see really small things was created by a man named Royal Rife. Royal Rife is the one who identified viruses. He learned about all kinds of biological entities that nobody knew anything about. And at the same time, he made these machines that put out light pulses and waves and sounds and frequencies that would reverse the polarity on the entity and cause it to explode. They were taking out cancer, all kinds of illnesses. Dr. Royal Rife. Well, he wasn't a doctor, just Royal Rife. I think they did give him a doctorate at some point. Then they took it away. You know, they give you something, they take it away, you know. You got a degree and all of a sudden, it's, you know, you come home and it's gone. It's just a shadow where it was because you're not acting right. You're not staying within the group. You know what I'm saying? You're breaking out of our religion because a lot of these things are basically religions. So Royal Rife did a lot of research and they basically came and confiscated everything. Took all his machines and everything. And a lot of people tell me, well, Dr. B, you know, I got a Rife machine. I said, I had a Rife machine too. I had all the Rife technology until I realized that it wasn't right. It's Rife, but it ain't right because he used these machines that were all analog. And now you find these machines that people, you know, have that's supposed to kill parasites and disease. They're digital. They actually create a chaotic frequency that actually kills some bugs and makes the other one stronger. Some parasites. In fact, all things are sensitive to frequency, to sound, to rhythm, to light codes, to pulses. Once you can find the frequency that something or someone is vibrating at, if you can locate that, then you can change it if need be. Sometimes the frequency that you can affect some of these creatures with is so chaotic that they lose their way. They either die, they can't mate. Like there's a plant called neem, Neem, the neem tree. They noticed that in India, in Africa, and in, you know, around, you know, the warmer climates, this neem tree grows. And they noticed that the bugs would come, let's say locust season. They may come and land on the leaves, but they just stay on the leaves and they stop eating. They stop mating. They don't do anything. They just sit there and they just fall over and die. It doesn't kill them. The tree causes them not to mate, not to connect, not to eat. It shuts down their frequency because the neem frequency, if you smell it, it smells like almost like bad, rotten garlic. It's real funky. It also is an anaphrodisiac. Actually, if you take neem, and I shouldn't be saying this, I hope there's no medical folks on the line that's going to make that call. It's one of the best contraceptives on the planet because the sperm doesn't even look for the egg, or the egg doesn't attract. Because truly what happens in the body, the sperm is not looking for the egg. It is the egg that is magnetically choosing and attracting the sperm. The sperm are going through what's called sperm competition. The sperm are fighting each other so that they could glow and have such an auric field that she might choose them. That's a whole nother thing. Put that in your pipe or your glass of tea and drink that. It is the woman, is the feminine that is choosing. So this particular plant is used for a lot of things, you know, as far as, let's say, you know, you get like beans and things and you're storing things, they put neem leaves in it. And a lot of foods, you know, have neem in it because the neem actually helps to keep it fresh and keeps a lot of bugs from destroying your food. So there are thousands thousands of known bugs, parasites that affect and infect people and animals and can control their activities. There's a wasp that will sting a certain grasshopper, and that grasshopper no longer acts like a grasshopper. There's men that will meet a woman. Just think about this for a minute. And all of a sudden she's changed, right? We see that all the time. Or, or even vice versa. People meet and they change. And their whole life is based on that person. It's almost like parasitic, So, but this is happening in nature also. The manipulation of things so that the thing can survive. It's all about survival of the thing. Parasites are manipulating. They're ectoparasites that live on the outside, like on your skin. There's things called ectoparasites. If you get a microscope, you can see them. And I'm going to go back to that microscope in 1 second because I didn't finish that. There's also parasites that are endoparasites. They live inside you. Then there's parasites that live in your digestive tract, but then there's systemic parasites that live throughout your body. Okay? They're everywhere in nature. Everybody has parasites at some level. There is no quote unquote good parasite. People say, well, no, some good ones. You let me just find them, bring them to me. The good bacteria and things like that are different than parasites because there's a symbiotic relationship between, the good bacteria and you. Parasites only use you as the host. So if you're having a party, guess what? You're having a party. You better have music. You better have drinks. You better keep it coming. Because you're the host. And a lot of times people don't bring nothing to the party. They don't even help wash dishes and clean up afterwards. This is parasitic people coming to the party. Well, parasites take away. They take. And they'll control their host. They will send information, vibrations, sounds, frequencies, emotions, and feelings, and symbols throughout your body to make you do a certain thing so they can survive. Certain foods that you're hooked on because the parasites are controlling what you consume. We notice that when people do a really powerful systemic program, they all of a sudden are not hooked on certain things. They're not hooked on certain foods and certain activities. You change because people have been being controlled by these beings. Let me go back to the microscope really quickly. As above, so below. We've heard that before. As I'm looking through the microscope, the scientist tells me, he says, I'm going to show you a cancer cell. And in the cancer cell, around the cancer cell were all these creatures. I said, what are those? He said, those are parasites and viruses and mold. They live with and around or might be causing the cancer or the malady or disease state. He says, don't worry about those. Bring up the magnification. So we're looking at the cancer and we're going down, down, down. It's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And all of a sudden we get to this place where there's no more cancer. I said, where are we now? He says, we're beyond the cancer. He says, cancer only exists at a certain level, a certain degree. It only lives at a certain place. And you have gone beyond the cancer. I said, so inside the cells that are supposed to be cancer cells, there's a place where cancer doesn't exist. He says, exactly. The environment around the cell is creating what you're calling or what we have described as cancer or any disease. It's based on the vibrational rate. You have gone to a place deep in the cell beyond the vibrational rate of what you call dis-ease. I said, so there's no dis-ease? He said, there's no disease here. He said, keep bringing up the magnification. We get to a place where I said, wait a minute. Is that the Big Dipper? He says, exactly. I said, is that serious? He said, yes. I said, what's going on?
This shit is good.
And the man laughed, just like you laughing. He laughed almost. This is a little eerie. You kept laughing like that dude was laughing.
Oh man.
He says, as above, so below. He says, I can't talk about this, Doc, but you can. Because you didn't join the club. Because I didn't do the handshake or drink or whatever. You know what I'm saying? I'm at this college, but I'm a contractor. And I'm here today and gone tomorrow.
Yeah.
When you look at the cells or anything, when you get down to the subatomic space, it's the same thing. Everything is everything. Didn't Donny Hathaway say that? Everything is everything. He also said the world is a ghetto. Well, artists I was working with back in the day, DJ Quick. I used to produce DJ Quick when he first came out, right? And he was about to go on the road. And he says, man, I'm a little nervous. I haven't really been out of Compton. I said, don't worry. The whole world is just like Compton. A little later, I found out he wrote a song called Just Like Compton. But it was good, too. But everything is happening at different levels based on your perception. If something can play with your perception of what things are, it can control you. We live in a society that's your perception is being controlled by entities, biological entities, whether they be humans, whether they be, entities and entities. There's all kinds of levels of things that would like to use you, especially if you sweet. The darker the berry, the sweeter the juice, especially if you got a lot of soul and a lot of energy, right? You can really move, you got ideas and you get zapped by these creatures, right? Who need to use your energy. Sometimes they're your family. You better stay in college, B. You better not quit because you're going to need a good job because there was, this whole thing about a good job. You're going to need to go to college and get you a good degree. What kind of degree? 1 degree. Nature's got 360 degrees. It's 365 days. I'm not just living in 1 day. Why should I be having just 1 degree? Because there is a control center. It's a lot to get in there to get into this exhibit. One at a time. You sit in this white room. The chair is white. The walls is white. It's soundproof. You just sit there. People come out crying. Oh my God. I'm like, what happened? What happens in there? They said they can't deal with the silence. It blows their mind. I'm like, wow. We have an issue with silence. And when you get in a place, like when you're in the studio, you go in a real, professional studio, you're in a vocal booth and they close the door. We used to use refrigerators, but because they have very thick walls and they're lined, all these materials where sound can't, travel through the walls. And artists would sometimes freak out if it was too silent. You start shaking, man. What's happening? Where y'all at? And we have to talk to them because something starts happening when you start finding yourself. Like a lot of folks who are in solitary confinement for a very long time, they either snap and lose it all or they gain it all because you find yourself in silence, in darkness. It's in that dark place. It's in the dark night of the moon. It's when you've lost it all. When you lose your mind. Like when I lost my mind, I lost it all. I couldn't hear. I couldn't see. I couldn't smell. I didn't know nobody. I didn't recognize anything. But guess what? I found myself. But a lot of times we're afraid to go find ourselves because we got something walking with us, something talking with us, something talking in our head. You know what I'm saying? That's telling you don't get off the farm. Don't find yourself. Because if you find yourself, these entities cannot use your energy. Because if you're not using all your energy, all your life force, if you're not generating the voltage and the frequency that you should be generating, that you came here with, something else is going to use you. Let me tell you something. If you ain't sitting in your seat, somebody else is sitting in your seat. Opportunity knocks on your door every single day, but you don't recognize the knock. You think that opportunity goes away? No, it goes to somebody else. You see, because we're focused on things, right, that may not be the best thing for us because we haven't found ourselves. When you find yourself, something happens. When you find your true self, but you were raised in a world where you have to vote for these people. You got to believe in this thing. You got to believe in something now. You got to believe. You don't believe in nothing? No, I don't believe in nothing. What do you mean you don't believe? I don't believe in nothing. I need facts. I need to see it happen. Like even in what they might call spirituality. I like quantum physics. Why? Because quantum physics will prove something that you call spiritual. That's what quantum physics is about. Because there's things happening in the subatomic space that proves that, let's say something like, collective prayer. If we could all focus on one thing, or collective meditation, if we could all focus on that one thing, that one idea at the same time, we actually change through space, through time, the energy of the thing, because all particles are actually one particle. When they found the subatomic particles, what they call the God particle, they only found one of them. And as you looked at the particle, it became whatever you was thinking about. This thing is a projection. We're all coexisting in a projection. It's not what you think. It seems solid, but it's actually more space than anything else. 99.99999% of everything is space. Space, the final frontier, to go where no one has gone before. Ain't that what they say on Star Trek? 5-year mission to seek out new life, to seek out yourself. What Luther Vandross say? If only for one night, it would be so nice. If only for one night. No one needs to know. Don't call nobody and tell them I'm about to do a special meditation tonight. Don't call me between 9 and 1:30 because the people are thinking, he's doing some kind of weird meditation. What's he doing? They sit in waves. Because when you tell people and give them an idea of what you're doing, right, they have an idea about it. They have a belief. I'm really worried about him. He said he's gonna do nothing. He's gonna eat nothing but lemons and water for 6 weeks. That ain't healthy. I'm worried. They keep calling. How you doing today? You all right over there? Because you told them. You talk too much. And people don't know how to mind their business. And not only are they nosy, they're newsy. They not only are they talking about you, right? They're calling other people nosy and newsy. And that keeps you in a state where you're not solid. You're not sovereign. You ain't got to take no papers downtown to become sovereign and ask the man if you can be sovereign. You got to be sovereign within yourself. You got to get sovereign. Soulvern. You got to learn how to, get these entities out of you. So, toxoplasma is notorious for controlling whole societies of people. The signal that it's receiving and sending is coming from somewhere else. They work together in a group, like a hive. So within a certain amount, we're not sure how far right now, within a certain area, there's the mother, the queen, like with bees. Them bees better not come back with the wrong pollen from another flower. She holds them down and stings them to death and then eats them. You better do exactly what the queen says. These beings, like ants and things like that, their thing is survival. You might not like them. You got a problem because they're in your house. This is their house. You know how long they've been here? There's an ant mound in your house, been there for 2 million years. And you're trying to kill these ants, especially if they black, you really kill them. You got to watch that because, black bugs, we really kill them loud. If it was a white ant, well, no, it's just a little white ant, might blend in with the paint. So you don't really say nothing, friends are over, you know what I'm saying? It's a white ant, the black ant, you get you kill it loud. So the other ants or the other roaches, or has been said out in Texas, the roaches, they can hear. And you look around and then send the message because your ego is huge as a human being. Yes, human being. It's crazy how we think. If all the roaches die tomorrow, we only got 3 years. They clean up stuff. That's what they do.
Them filthy motherfuckers.
Somebody got to do the work.
Shit.
Somebody got to do work. You call them filthy, but they taking the trash out.
I guess you're right, man.
Come on, man. They go places where no one to go, where no man will go. Oh my gosh.
Oh man.
So, toxoplasma, it feeds off fear and anger. It keeps people in sorrow. A lot of us have unresolved fear. Unresolved fear affects the kidney. Unresolved anger affects the liver. Unresolved grief affects the lungs. So we could keep going. There's mental states or emotional states that also create the imbalance in organs. So you could be, you conscious as you want to be, man. You do your thing, you eat right, but there's stuff down in your subconscious basement that happened to you as a child, or things that you saw on a movie. Like the movie, if the movie ain't got certain things in it, people don't want to watch it. It needs to have gore. Some of these movies that are really deep right now, they always got to have a lot of blood and gore in them. Why? Well, people are not going to like it. People through hypnotic rhythm are programmed to have to see all that gore and blood, so they become desensitized. You don't have to tell that story like that, but you do if you wanted to sell big. Like if your song, if you were a hip hop artist, there's certain things you better put in that song because that's what they want. You take away that 808 drum, that 808 bass drum. People have no idea the frequency and what it looks like on an oscilloscope in the laboratory, the 808 bass drum. That 808 bass drum is deep.
What it look like?
It's chaotic. It's a chaotic frequency. The 808 bass drum. The 808 bass drum, unless you know how to tune it and play with it. I mean, a lot of times, if there's no 808 bass drum, and why is it 808? What is that number about? Why do they call it the 808? I asked the Japanese folks who made it, why y'all call it 808? They just said, that's a good number. No, there's no good numbers. You know what I'm saying? You talking about a good number. And why y'all be bowing? How come you don't shake hands? You just bow. He said, because I don't know what you have. I don't know what you might have. You don't want to shake my hand. I said, oh, wait a minute now. They know about something. 808. That frequency is chaotic. It is not natural. If you leave it just, you have to really manipulate it and compress it and change it from a chaotic frequency, right, to a natural frequency. There are natural frequencies that you could use to do that because it's all got to do with programming. You turn on the 808, you see people's heads automatically do this. The cat could be, this cat got no skills, no rap skills at all. But if you turn it up loud and put that 808 up under it,
you feel that 808, you can feel that, Doc.
Because it's hypnotic.
Feel it.
They took some frequencies that the indigenous people used and certain rhythms that the indigenous people used and used it to program people. Some frequencies and some sounds are parasitic. They eat you alive. This ain't just about bugs. You're creating frequencies. Frequency means how often something happens. How frequently a sine wave goes from positive to negative. Or a square wave, or a pulse wave, or a sawtooth wave. I used to design synthesizers. This is there's companies out there that actually use a lot of the sounds that I created back in the day. I was working for companies as a sound designer because I studied sound. And I realized that there's certain sounds that cause you not to be sound. There's certain sounds that you play that the animals go crazy. I'm not saying that the music that we're listening to is innately bad or good. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that someone is controlling, like when it turned from rap, which we call the revolution of African people, to hip hop. When did that happen? Something happened. And then all of a sudden we started allowing a whole lot of other folks. We used to sell this out the trunk. We had cassettes, or as they used to say, cassettes. And then all of a sudden something happens and we got to make it big. It's got to be big. We need more money. Because we like being taken care of. We like that money. We need to look good. We need to have the chains. We need to have the gold. And there's nothing necessarily bad or good about that. What I'm saying is there is a system of control which uses the people's mindset as fuel for whatever they're doing. And these beings, some of them, they're behind the scenes. You don't see them. And you want to know what the youth and why they're doing what they're doing. They're mimicking a lot of times a message that's been given to them. This is a parasitic nation. It's a parasitic world not not the earth. I'm talking about the worlds we live in, where we like to be. There's a way to make the music pulse where everybody's going to buy it. They wanted to know, how can I make the first hip hop record, right? They wanted to know, Dr. B, how did you create? I had an artist. I said his album is going to go gold in 2 months off the first single. They said it's impossible. It's never happened. One single, the album is going to go gold. A month later, the album goes gold. And the artist, DJ Quick, whether you like him or not, it's the first artist for his record to go gold in almost 30 days and the first black hip hop artist to have a billboard on Sunset. You can say, well, I wasn't into that West Coast. I'm not talking about that. You can choose whatever you like. I'm saying there is a way that you can make music sound. There's a way that you can make food and prepare food. There's a way that you can talk and live that puts out a frequency that turns chaotic waves into natural waves that actually give life instead of taking life. And parasites only take life.
Wow.
So, toxoplasma at this time basically is controlling a lot of the mindset of people. A lot. And you could see it in people's eyes. It's, you can see the way people's eyes move and the way they talk. And the subjects, people talk like in little loops. And it's almost like they're just mimicking. And have B, so you heard about such and such, have you? And it's this thing. And it's getting more and more, some of us see it, we can hear it. I am saying that we have to now choose a new path because the old rhythm is not working anymore. We're in a new space. We have ways that we can break the spell. You have to become a spell breaker. You got to become a sorcerer and start tapping into source energy. That's what we're at that point where we got to step out of the circle that we were in. Even though it was cool, some of those circles ain't going nowhere. You got to look at the people you around, who you're attracting, who you with. If you're in a relationship, right, which is a boat, right, when you got a contract and a ship, there's a relationship.
Worried about buying a home in today's market? Get the answers you need from a Redfin agent.
Ship has a contract, and once you begin to step outside of that ship, they want to throw you off the ship. But your ship, your own person, your own vehicle, you got to be careful because you got to make sure you're the captain. That means you need to know who your crew is. That's your crew is your organs, your cells, your organelles, your subatomic particles, everything about you, your friendly bacteria, your hair, your skin, everything about you is your vehicle. Now, you probably got some pirates that want to be captain one day. I remember I was watching one of those Captain Kirks in Star Trek, and Captain Kirk got on this elevator with this guy. He says, "You're feeling good?" The guy says, "Yes, sir." He says, "You want to be captain one day, huh?" He says, "Yes, sir." Captain Kirk slaps him to the ground, and he says, "Not on my ship." I'm like, "Whoa, this is some cold stuff, man." Slapped him. He lifted up and slapped him down. The dude's on the ground. The music goes, "Duh, not on my ship." This is some deep stuff, man. What's on your ship? Do you have cargo? You think you got a cruise boat, but you got a cargo ship with oil leaking barrels and junk in it. You don't even know what's on your ship until you do the dark work, the endarkenment. Go in and find yourself in silence and detoxify yourself from these parasites. Toxoplasma is not going to leave because you eating raw.
That was going to be my first question. People automatically think you're talking about meat eaters. They automatically think the vegans are off the hook. Doc, I'm a vegan, and them niggas that eat pizza, chicken and pork and beef, they the ones that got to worry about it. But the vegans are susceptible too, huh?
Well, there's a parasite called Necator americana. It's a flesh-eating bacteria. It's a necrotizing, right? Fasciitis. It eats tissue. It necrotizes, which means it rips. It's in meat. flesh-eating bacteria, and it could be dormant for years until you go through some sort of trauma. You see what I'm saying? Which could be, you eat some flakes of corn for breakfast, and they were sprayed with some atrazine, which, anyway. So, yes, there are certain illnesses that you could obtain from the eating of flesh. In fact, let me say this really quickly. A lot of the illnesses or diseases, parasites, and other little bugs, I'm being very careful, I'm being mindful of what you said, little bugs, are basically zoonotic. Zoonotic means that they are passing from animals to people. Now, you don't have to eat them. You could be living with them. I'm going to just leave that. I don't want to, upset your audience too much. It's just, I got to breathe. Stay focused, stay focused, stay focused. But there are parasitic beings that live everywhere. On that doorknob you about to touch, that elevator button, that hug you just gave to that person who just, then you're going to do the black hug, or hug them 3 times on each cheek. You're passing parasites. They're everywhere. There's some in the air. They're on particles of dust. They're in your rug. There are all kinds of beings. This thing is teeming with life that man does not understand, overstand, or understand until he begins to exostand, which means stand outside of your ego and look in. So if you live on the planet, you're going to get parasites. Parasites are like garbage pickers. They eat garbage. They digest things. They break things down. And if you had a few of them, it wouldn't be an issue. The issue comes is when you are overpopulated with parasites, or you have the ones that live in your brain, that control your brain, and certain ones in the gut. And a lot of people talk about parasites. They say, well, I'm not worried. I do a parasite cleanse. I take, black walnut and black seed oil and, olive leaf extract. And they got all these things that they do. Diatomaceous earth. They work very well in the digestive tract. Those things don't go through the entire system that deals with what we call systemic parasites. There are certain parasites that live in the heart, certain parasites that live in the liver, the kidneys. There's one that lives in the pancreas, the pancreatic flukeworm. There's people with diabetes, right? Taking medicine, taking shots every day, and nobody has dealt with their parasite living in that pancreas. So you tell me how your black walnut hulls and your cloves, the stuff that you were told wormwood, how does it get to that organ? I want to see it. Show it to me scientifically. That's why I say I like studying science. I need to see it actually happen in the lab, or, have the lab reports brought to me, which I act like I'm reading, but I actually know. Sometimes you got to act like you're reading the reports. But you get a feeling. The real report is within you. When you realize that some of these things were created through biological warfare, it's in the environment. They drop stuff in different war zones, right? They drop this germ warfare, biological weapons. Here's something for y'all to look up. The Military Review, November 1970. This is a publication. The Military Review, November 1970. Ethnic weapons. Race-specific biological weapons. I'm going to say it one more time. The Military Review publication, November 1970. Ethnic weapons. Race-specific biological weapons. Huh? Do you know what that means? Did we just say that these are ethno-specific parasites? Do you mean there's certain bugs that they could put on certain areas and it only causes a problem in certain groups of people? This has all been developed. This is germ warfare. There's certain things in certain foods, even your vegetables. So we have this ego that says, well, I eat perfect and I've been eating perfect for 20 years and I haven't touched meat and milk and dairy for blah, 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 blah. And they got this thing. They're moving like this. I said, oh, you got parasites. No, what you mean? I don't have no parasites, Dr. B. The forehead starts wrinkling. They start moving. Their eyes get this little thing. Their pupils get tight. You got parasites. No, I don't. Well, why are you fighting with me? Where's the war? I didn't say, you came to me talking this talk. That you on the radio talking all that. Oh, you really got parasites because you're angry. Why are you so angry all the time? Why are you hating on everything? And your way is the only way. This is very religious. You know what I'm saying? You become like, you're going door to door, making people, talking about their food and the way they live. That's parasitic. And that's a symptom of something controlling your mindset instead of walking in love and peace and harmony with all things and becoming a part of the environment and living and opening up a vortex of love, peace, and harmony. No matter who the people are and what they're doing, most of the time it's none of your business. And if you're minding other people's business too much, you are the parasite or you're full of parasites. It has nothing to do with how you live. It has to do with how you act. My point here is people feel like because they live a certain way, they're protected from this. You are not protected from ethno-specific parasites that they use for germ warfare. Dick Gregory was telling me about a housing project in St. Louis. They needed the people to move and nobody would move. And they wanted to take over and build some big whatever, and he said they sprayed something from a helicopter over the housing project. And everybody in that project within 6 months was dead or very sick. You don't think they have this technology? So you feel like, if you was eating your organic whatever, that you wouldn't be affected by this? It's everybody. Let me tell you another thing. Go back to toxoplasma. We're going to keep going back to toxoplasma. There was an article. You can find it right now. They found out that toxoplasma makes people talk, feel, and smell and look attractive. You could look it up. Look up toxoplasma and attraction. It makes beings, people, animals mate with something that they normally would not mate with because it needs to travel from one person to another. You ever find yourself in a relationship and later on you're trying to figure out, how did I get here, man? Why did this happen? Everything was cool, man. It was beautiful. And something happened. Because sometimes you are mating based on the mating calls of a parasite. Look, you can't make this up, bro. This is all, and it's all right there. If you put it all together, get the book once again. Your brain on parasites. This is your brain on parasites. They don't say just meat eaters. People. Real good book. It makes people seem more attractive and sexy. You can't stop thinking about them. They was over there squeezing on the melons at the store, right? They didn't even talk to you. You just, oh my gosh. I can't get that person off my mind. You're supposed to be married and hooked up. You know what I'm saying? It may be because they're emitting these pheromones. Pheromones are what, create smell. That's why we wear certain perfumes. You see, perfumes, they're actually parfums, which have to do with, has to do with life besides, like parasite has to do with something living besides. So you create these smells, which is supposed to make you more attractive. A lot of folks is wearing perfume and they're not trying to date nobody.
All right. So that was a lot of information, about the neuroplasma and the cat poop in the beginning there. He went over all the different types of parasites, and yeah, so it's easy to see how parasites can easily be spread between humans, and you know it's deep. Like, it doesn't matter if you believe in whatever religion or whatever dogma was thrown upon you and you believe. Like he was saying, how groups, herds of certain, the way people talk, like it's in the soil. Like, you see, it's really deep, from when he was saying like 6,000 years ago and blah, 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 blah. And in my most viewed video, I think it's called like Spiritual Tax Gang Stalking. It has like 500 and something views at the current moment. And I was talking how people get body snatched. Like, they literally, like, you're talking to like a parent or a friend or, whatever your relationship is with the person. And it's almost like they like snap. Like, it's like something goes like this inside of them. And next thing you know, remember how he's talking about the pheromones that like, or some like a mating call between the different parasites between one person to another. Like they just snap, not like in the mating sense, but in the sense of like they like randomly attack you. It's like you're not answering the call, like they're calling you for some like parasite meetup or whatever, and you're giving off a different energy that's not matching their frequency. Remember how he was talking about the certain like parasites or sounds or living things give off energy, right? And we're human, especially, the blacker the berry, the sweeter the juice, certain people have more, energy than others. And that's just a fact. Because, your body, whatever you have in your skin it takes in solar radiation, like literally energy, right? I always talk about whatever foods you eat also give you energy. You have to build up your body. You have to boost your body as best you can, right? Whatever nutrients, supplements, take whatever you got to take. Like you said, detox. That's probably the most important thing before I even go on with what I'm about to say. Detoxing. Everyone should detox. I'm actually taking a parasite thing now. I get my blood tested. I get live blood test done. I did a detox earlier this year. I'm probably going to do another one later this year. Maybe what's July, end of July, maybe end of August or something, I'll do another one. But yeah, maybe early September. But yeah, man, so it's just crazy. Like, literally, like inside of people, parasites. And there is a clip, I could include it, that was also in Net's video. He posted this clip a lot of times in a lot of different videos. It's about a lady that actually discovered something parasitical inside of the fluid. I don't know if you remember that. It was quite a while ago. That video was actually like an hour. I thought it was only like 30 minutes. It was actually a lot longer than I thought. But I didn't want to cut anything because that brother, Doctah B, when he speaks, it's just so good. You know what I'm saying? Y'all know what I'm talking about. If you made it this far in the video, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Like, or if you came back or, however you finish this video, when he's speaking, it's just like, you don't want him to stop. Like, I was watching, I was like, yo, this guy is, he's really speaking that speak. But, yeah, regardless of, whatever you believe in, man, you just got to try to clean out whatever's inside you as best as you can. Net Most Wanted, he really talks about a lot of the side effects and things that are going on because of the fluid. Again, I'm not going to touch on it too big. I could just do a quick, brief summary. I'm not even going to do it. If you want to know, you could check out his video. It's just a lot of health problems, like, the flight pilot shortage or whatever, why they're canceling so much flights. I'm going to put it this way. All right. I think this is probably the best analogy I could give that isn't too like crazy. All right. So if you have a engine of a car, like my Camaro, right? If I have a Camaro and let's say I drive it, 50,000 miles and I never change the oil is all like thick and clumpy and not good, right? That would be like referring to your blood. Like you put the wrong oil in your car, basically, is what I'm trying to say. Like, this thing that you put in your car is not tangible, it's not supposed to be in your car. So pilots or athletes, I know you guys have been seeing all the athletes that are dropping like flies. Soccer is probably the biggest one. There was a swimmer not too long ago that was in the middle of Olympic, like dancing underwater, and literally was like about to drown. Someone had to jump in and save her. A lot of NFL players, even basketball. I was really big in basketball. I've noticed there's been like one or two deaths, I think, of like NBA players. Like, how are all these athletes just dying? But then you think, okay, they're NASCARs. If we're comparing people to people, right? Average Joe Schmoes, like I exercise a lot, and I don't have the fluid in me at all, and I'm not in direct contact with anyone who does have it in their blood. So um I'm perfectly fine. But if I were like a bodybuilder who has it or an athlete who has it, right? You're gonna notice side effects in them first because their oil is pumping through their engine at an exponential rate. They fly all the time, when you're flying, your blood is like, you're so high in the air, the pressure, like your blood's thinner or thicker or whatever. It's pumping a lot more drastically, or however it spreads. I'm not too caught up on the, whatever altitude your blood's pumping. I don't know. But they train 24/7. They're playing games, they're working at like a pace that like is high, again, like a NASCAR. Like their engine, they could go quick. Me, I'm just like a Camaro, like Camaro SS. But those guys are like NASCAR. Like, it's not a competition who's quicker. We know who's quicker. But then you got to think like, okay, regular people like around your house, like if you think like your parents or your grandparents, their heart's not beating like that. So with regular people, you're not really gonna get the side effects the same way. Like if you're not noticing things with people already, like I don't know, I notice people who always are sick or have a cough or I don't know, man. Just health is just not as good. But over time, you'll be able to see more of the effects of it. Obviously, that's how experimental things go. If you have a big trial group and you have people who aren't affected by it, you could just compare, okay, well, these people have fluid in them, in their engines that are different than, what's supposed to be in there. And there's people that don't have it, okay? These people that do have it are having all these issues like, strokes or heart attacks or blood clots or cancer. Okay, we're going to take note of that. Okay, now regular people who don't have certain fluids in their engine, messing up their pistons or, their fuel injectors or, not messing with the cylinders in the engine, their engines are running perfectly fine. I wonder what's going on. You know what I mean? It's just problem solving. But yeah, man, even with these parasites, like he was saying, with like the aliens coming out of the sky, like who do you think is here? Like, what are these parasites? You know what I mean? Who altered these parasites 6,000 years ago? Who, all these civilizations that build up and fall, like what are these parasites? What are they feasting on? You know what I mean? Like, we need to get to the bottom of like, like there's no need to divide as people. We just need to come together, find the best solution to, heal each other, and then try to figure out where we could find this going back to. Obviously, we know I dropped a video about these celebrities and them selling themselves and blah, 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 blah. We already know those guys are in it, but we're trying to get to the top of the food chain. You know what I mean? We're not trying to deal with the little guppies. We're not trying to deal with all these people they have in our face. We want to see the people that are not in our face, We want to see the people who are behind the closed doors so we can get to the people to understand, like, who are these parasites, You get what I'm saying? Like, it's a way deeper thing. Like, another thing, so when you guys are trying to up your energy, this is where crystals and stuff, meditation, like he was saying, like just taking a regular detox will obviously help and eating certain things, but they're in all different parts of your body, your heart, your brain, your pancreas, your kidney, your whatever, right? So you want to try to mentally unclog yourself too. That's why I always keep talking about the brain. You see how everything comes full loop? When I'm talking about the foods that charge up your body, listen, if you're vibrating fast, remember when he's talking about cancer cells, inside cancer, there's no cancer. So if you're operating from your heart, from your higher chakras, these lower things can't affect you as much as if you're operating down low, where you're operating side by side with like a pest or a pesticide or a germ or whatever bug is in you. This is literally in Men in Black. You guys seen the first Men in Black, or was it the second one when the alien crash landed and then he's like in that pest control guy's body? Like, hello. It's literally shown to us what the frig is going on. But yeah, man, I don't know. This is just some information I came across, and it really ties in with everything. It really helps you connect a lot of dots. And honestly, if you can't see the dots after watching this whole video, then you need to try to detox right away, because obviously there's a lot of stuff like cooped up, built up, and you need to probably, try to get out in nature, try to connect with nature, detox, wear some crystals, maybe some shungite, try meditating, even stretching, like even doing regular stretching often, cardio, drinking distilled water, because even with fluoride and stuff, right, they've always been trying to attack your neurons in your brain, and fluoride and certain other chemicals, like how he was saying with certain, breakfast and having milk and eating meat, all these things, it's all like biological warfare. So, eating vegan, yeah, it's good and it will help cleanse your body quicker. You could still eat some things, like, I don't know, I still eat fish and eggs and stuff sometimes. Like, I'm not like perfect, no one is. I still have sugar cravings here and there, but I'm a lot further than a lot of people. So, not saying that I could cheat, but at the same time, I could have treats, because my body is already very cleansed. I already drink my chlorophyll. I already take my vitamin D, my calcium. I could show you my cabinet right over there, that one right there. It has so much supplements and stuff. And in my fridge, I take my magnesium. I take my pesticide cleansing thing. I take my HG3 human growth hormone. I take all these different things. You know what I'm saying? So I'm good. Like, I'm already working on orgone and all these different things. Like, my energy is being boosted. And that's why I'm trying to relay the message to try to help you guys, because, also when you pass away, right? Like, everyone dies regardless of, if you took this or not, everyone passes away. That's just life on earth, right? Even me saying this information, I could randomly pass away just like everyone else who talks about this stuff can, right? It's not about that. It's about, you need to be at a certain place mentally, so then when you do pass away, then you can expand and go to different places. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know this kind of sounds like a sci-fi movie, like, pesticides and, all these different germs and things that could take over your mind, and aliens and blah, 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 blah. But like, realistically, like, there's stuff out there if you look. Like, I could literally show you my books. Hold on. I literally got biology books. Like, I'll show you my bookshelf real quick. Look at this. Biology, science, human form. Like, I got books that talk about, and up here, I'll show you guys real quick. I got stuff talking about herbal healing, right? There's a book about animals, like how to kind of be in tune with animals, or treat them, or talk to them, or have pets of certain animals. Obviously, I don't know if that's a good idea with the cats and the you know what I'm saying? But how to do things. I got books for to confirm a lot of stuff that's being talked about too. Like, it all comes full circle, complete full circle. It really does sound crazy, but that's only if you're in this herd, sheep or germ or bug mindset. But once you can actually like clean up some of your neurons and get your 3 trillion neurons or billion, however many stars in the Milky Way is neurons you got in your brain, when more than like 5 million are firing, you could actually start to process information properly. And information is deeper than money. It's deeper than government. It's deeper than like material things, because as he was saying, I'm pretty sure he said in the video, maybe he didn't, but I gotta catch my breath. It really connects you to just physical. And a lot of things in life aren't just physical. Like there's spiritual, like there's things like he was saying that it's deeper inside, right? That's why I'd be trying to say, listen to 432 hertz music. Like if you want to listen to rap music, okay, well, listen to it at a different frequency so the beats don't flare up your things that are in your brain. I never thought of it. Like I didn't know that information until I seen this, right? So it's really deep. It's really deep. Like when people, like when I'm saying this, I'm not crazy. Like I'm literally, there's deeper meaning behind it. Like literally frequencies and stuff like heal plants. Like all my plants are very happy. I don't even water them that good, I'm gonna be honest, but they're not having white leaves. Like they just all look happy. Like they look fake because I always play 432 hertz music when I'm home. You know what I'm saying? And I got copper pyramids. I'm actually about to build a huge 6-foot one in my living room here. But yeah, man, it's just good energy. Good energy makes your plants happy. It makes your body, the chemical compounds in your body better. Like I'm supposed to have a horrible arthritis in my spine. I'm perfectly fine. Like if you just take care of yourself, like have these higher energy things around you, you're eating your supplements, you're eating the proper nutrients for your body, whatever, you know, wherever your body is made of, you know, but it doesn't really matter. Like, you know, grow stuff yourself. Like I got a little garden outside. I didn't even update you guys on that. Wow. I grow stuff inside right there. I got peas. I got peas and peppers up there. They're still like in the seed stage, really, really small. Then I got some thyme, or is that rosemary? And then that one's I can't remember. I grow my own stuff though. I got a big herb thing outside too. Like that's not all my herbs. I'm just growing that stuff to then, you know, transplant it outside or have one for all year round because, you know, winter here is kind of long. But yeah, man, herbs. Look up herbs and stuff to eat. Like I grow my own mint. Mint's really good for you too. Like I seen that certain like mint is good for parasites too. But yeah, man, that's basically the message. Again, if there's anything I didn't touch on that you want to hear or, you know, anything like that, reach out. If you want to get to know me more personally, you know, I'm sure most of you that are watching this probably know me personally anyways, but yeah, we could talk about stuff. Like I said, I'm always open for conversation and debate. If you think that something that was in this video was completely wrong and sounds delusional, let me know, man. I wanna come to an understanding with you, and you know, maybe after you're done your detox, and we could talk again, you know, and then we could see if you're still in that same mindset. I don't know, you know. I just want to experiment. I want to see, make sure that if this is true, which is a lot of science backing up its truth, then, you know, we can maybe come to our own understanding, not just someone on a television or somewhere halfway across the world telling us what they believe. Like he said, a lot of science is just happened 3 times in a row. Okay, it's scientific fact, or they just don't learn it in school. So if we as a collective do our own test, okay, we're going to detox and see if we feel better. We're going to eat a little bit better. We're going to see if, you know, mentally we're better. You know, you might have a disease that's starting, or you may be coming down with a disease, and you do these little things and it'll completely heal you. You know what I mean? So I think we should just, as a collective, you know, whoever's watching this or made it this far in the video, like you've been here for a while, so obviously you care about yourself or wanting to change to get better. You know, just try something out. Just try it. Eat more blueberries, you know. That's probably the best berry if you're gonna eat berries. You know, just try to find the most nutrient dense things and try just turning your life around and see if it does any better. Like, do you want to live longer? You know, do you want to reach the higher realms of reality? This is the 3rd dimension. There's like, I heard there's countless dimensions, but this is a very low one. And you could tell, like, it's pretty awful here. You know what I mean? All the death and, you know, suicide and blah, 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 blah. Like, it's a very dense reality. Like, everything is so dense. Like, why would you not try to, like, heighten yourself up so then when you leave, you're at a higher state so then you could go to a higher realm later? That's how it works. So, but yeah, man, that's just what I got on my brain. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I should be posting a little bit more often. Like I said, you know, my eye issue. I had a little vacation. September, I got more vacation coming up. So hopefully then I'll be able to pump out videos for you guys. But yeah, that was the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Again, I hope that a lot of this got through to you. It may sound a little delusional. It may sound like sci-fi. It may sound like a movie like Star Wars or Men in Black, like I said. But it's actually the reality of the situation. And I didn't want to, again, come out sounding crazy without all the facts lined up and, you know, someone to at least state it in a way that makes sense. But with everything I've been talking about, you know, even off of social media, like just the way I live my life, I'm plugging in a lot of things like mentally that line up with what was just said. And I hope that it does the same for you guys. All right. Anyways, it's been your boy. Peace, appreciation, and value to you all. Hope you have a good rest of your day. Peace.